Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of The Lap Down. I am not Greg. I am Jayme. Greg is out dealing with some personal stuff, but he deserves some time off. But tonight it's just mainly me and Ryan Dyer. We're going to be a two-man show to get things going. I know we didn't get a chance to get a pod in for last week, but don't rest assured we have a lot to talk about, and you got two of the guys who probably like to talk the most. So let's get into it. How are you doing today, Ryan?
Doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Not too bad, not too bad. I was out at Darlington personally. It was a great weekend, even with some surprising showers, and thought that the race was going to get cut short due to weather coming, but it stayed away. So all in all, it made for a great weekend.
Yep. It's never a bad. Let's just be honest. It's never a bad weekend when you're at a racetrack.
Oh, it really isn't. And during the day, it was hot and kind of muggy, but when the evening hours came in, that was the best time, and I truly understood what it meant when they said the sunset at Darlington. Yeah, there's nothing like it.
Yep.
But
yeah, I hope to be able to go to that race one day.
Yeah, let me know, and we'll work something out. But as things may be had, we now know that in 2025 there are going to be 4 new racetracks coming to the circuit, whether it be Xfinity, whether it be Truck, whether it be Cup. And real quick, we'll go through them. And Ryan, I want you to tell me which one do you think is the most intriguing track for you to not only watch, but from a driver standpoint as well. So we got Lime Rock, we got Mexico City, Bowman Gray, and the return of The Rock. And no, Dwayne Johnson, we're not talking about you. We're talking about Rockingham. What do you think about that set of tracks, Ryan?
I think Rockingham provides a lot of good opportunity for some good racing. I'm curious to see how Lime Rock Park works for the Truck Series. I am not exactly thrilled about Bowman Gray. And Mexico, I think it's a great thing for NASCAR to be expanding internationally. I think the international fans deserve some races, and it helps with NASCAR's credibility to fans of other motorsports like F1 that really doesn't give any respect to NASCAR.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And welcome, JP. We're glad you can make it, bud.
Yeah.
So, real quick, JP, right now we're talking about the 4 new tracks slated for 2025. Lime Rock, Mexico City, Bowman Gray, and Rockingham. Which track are you most excited to see as a viewer?
As a viewer, I'm excited to see NASCAR go south of the border.
So Mexico City is the taker for you?
Yep.
I actually have a fun stat for the international race as well.
Ooh.
Because amidst NASCAR announcing that they have an international race, I actually saw a post from NASCAR Xfinity Series driver Ryan Vargas, who was racing in the NASCAR Euro Series this weekend over in the Czech Republic. And can you guys guess just how many fans they had in over there for that race?
1.2 million.
Whoa.
In-person attendance, JP.
Let's say 10,000.
It was over 40,000.
Over 40,000. Wow.
Yeah, they had over 40,000 according to again NASCAR Xfinity Series driver Ryan Vargas, who I got the info off of on Twitter.
Let's go.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Which, again, that's on par with a sold-out crowd at Darlington, which, to be able to do that for a NASCAR Euro race in the Czech Republic, I think that just goes to show that NASCAR can exist internationally, and I think it would be a great thing for it to have an international series.
Oh, I definitely agree. And then you would think like the fans of series like IndyCar and Formula One, it gives them that alternate option to see some good on track racing that's not F1 or IndyCar.
Especially when F1 isn't an every weekend sport. I mean,
for sure.
F1 hasn't raced for what, like 3? No, they raced last weekend. I was gonna say it feels like they haven't raced in a while because they do like 2 weekends off a weekend, 2 weekends off.
Yep, and IndyCar is the same way.
Well, IndyCar will take entire months off occasionally, or do 1 race a month, but
Yeah.
then do 47 races in the month of July.
Yep. But yeah, I definitely think that Mexico City is probably the most intriguing from a driver standpoint, but from a nostalgia purpose, I would say Rockingham is going to be one of the bigger viewership of the 4 new tracks.
Yeah.
Just because everyone loves to see old tracks make their return. And I know I'm personally a big fan of Rockingham, and I hope that the races do well. That way, we can see the Cup cars on that track.
Yeah, and honestly, from an on-track perspective, I would say probably either Rockingham or Lime Rock Park will put on the best race. The weird thing is those Truck Series road course races, especially like back in the day when they only raced Canadian Tire, those are some of the most interesting races of the entire year.
Oh yeah,
So potentially
and
a standalone road course for the Truck Series.
what's the over/under that we'll see a rear axle completely come off the truck again?
I would say that's probably pretty unlikely that we'll see that again, especially not next year.
Yeah.
Hopefully, the teams are more prepared than that.
Oh yeah, but let's get into Darlington, shall we, guys?
Yep.
Xfinity, Christopher Bell gets the job done. He wasn't the most dominant car, but he ultimately comes away with the win and some valuable experience at that racetrack, and it definitely helped him along in the Cup race. But there seems to be a stigma around Sheldon Creed of him being a crybaby, and it's always the world out to get him. It's always NASCAR always seems to pull the cautions when he's leading, and he ends up not getting the job done. And I don't know, it's already bad when you're getting a stigma like this in the Xfinity series before you've even gotten to Cup. What's your thought on that, Ryan?
I mean, for me, I think a lot of it comes down to the fact that he's been so close so many times. I mean, I think a lot of us had a very similar feeling around Chase Elliott when he was having all those runner-up finishes at tracks like Dover, at his near top 5 run at Martinsville back in 2017 when he got wrecked by Denny Hamlin. I mean, just so many second-place finishes. He finished second at Phoenix, I believe, later that year. Just again, it's one of those things that when you have that many second place finishes, yeah, frustration will start to boil over at some point, and I think that's only human for drivers to complain. And once they break through for that first win, I think they will tend to mellow out.
What's your thoughts, JP?
Yeah, I tend to agree with Ryan because Ryan brings up some good points. But I mean, Sheldon Creed, if he wants to make it big in Cup, he's gotta learn to be a good sport.
I disagree. I think there's plenty of drivers in the Cup Series who are pretty terrible sports about losing, especially if we look at the last couple of weeks. I mean,
Oh yeah.
Do we need to bring up Austin Dillon again?
No, God, let's not do that.
No,
But
you want to talk about good sportsmanship and making it to Cup.
But my only rebuttal is, it is the spotter and a crew chief to keep your driver in check.
Yeah.
At least while he's on track, and I feel like that's where they're letting Sheldon Creed down a bit. They're feeding into the mindset, and yes, they may say, "Oh, let's buckle up, let's get it, let's show them why you're the best driver," blah blah blah. But you don't really see them help him out of that mindset when it comes to off track. And like to your point, Ryan, yes, everyone's human, but I feel like when it comes to his particular scenario, that support system isn't always there when he actually needs it to be there.
Yeah, I mean, especially his last year at RCR. I mean, they were basically kicking him out the door 3 months before the end of his actual contract with the team. And I think there's some of those races that he could have converted from potentially top fives to wins if he had the team actually behind him.
Yeah, that's my case in point. I was definitely thinking about to that time there.
Yeah.
But I hope he gets it together because I've already seen signs of Creed Crybaby signs, and I don't want that to be a stigma for him. But it's gotten to a point where fans are starting to notice, and they're starting to feed into it. And I know Alex Bowman said bad nicknames are the best nicknames, but I don't think that's the nickname you want to have.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's not a unique nickname, unlike getting called a hack like he got it. No, Martinsville.
Yep.
I mean, I've seen Crybaby Hamlin, Crybaby Truex. I've seen Crybaby Busch more than a couple of times.
Yep, but a Creed Crybaby kind of has a good flow to it, and I don't want that one to stick for him as being a young driver.
Yep.
But enough about that. Let's get into the Cup Series. Before we get into the full thing of it, what were your thoughts on the race, Ryan? And then we'll go to JP.
I think the race as a whole was good. I mean, I will say it definitely felt a little deflating to have two of the more competitive drivers, Martin Truex Jr. and Ryan Blaney, out on lap 3. And especially to go from that to essentially Kyle Larson leading about 250 or more laps uncontested before the next caution for any sort of contact and the next real challenge for position. Because it never really felt like Larson was challenged for position between that crash on lap from when he took the lead after the crash on lap 3 and about lap 300 when we got our next caution for contact.
Yeah, Kyle Larson was just dominant throughout the majority of that race.
Yeah,
like,
the classic Kyle Larson beatdown.
He at least had a 3 to 4 second advantage at any given point in time in that race.
Yeah. And to an extent, it almost felt like he was kind of backing down to avoid tearing up the wall himself by overdriving it, which is another thing where it's like, it's one thing to see a driver putting as much of a beatdown as humanly possible on the field. It's another when they get a big enough lead and then just start basically coasting.
Yeah.
I mean, I see it at the local track a lot where a vehicle will get like a half track lead and slow down to about 20 miles an hour just to make sure they don't lose it off the corner. And they'll do the entire final 5 laps at 20 miles an hour because they know the other driver can't catch them from that far back.
Yeah, that could be arrogance. It could just be like, hey, let me just see if I can make this a little bit more interesting and let them give them some hope.
Oh, I've seen a driver park it on the back straightaway with the white flag already waved.
Oh, my goodness.
If you want to talk about short track arrogance, yeah.
What were your thoughts there, JP, about Darlington? Did you catch the race?
Yeah, I caught the race. I thought it was pretty.
Go and find our phone.
Not me. I've got my phone right here.
I thought it was pretty irritating. Sorry about that. That was my mom looking for her phone. But no, I'm happy for Case Bushel because that could be Stuart Hall's final win if they don't win anything in the next 9 to 10 weeks.
I think we're all expecting that's going to be their final win.
Yeah. So, but we'll see. I'm making a bold prediction here.
Hold up, hold that bold prediction. Wait till we start talking about the playoff drivers, if that's where you're going.
Okay.
I'm going to say, hopefully it's not going to be another bold prediction like Rory LaJoie winning next year's Cup championship.
I mean, there's bold, and then there's out of this Milky Way system bold.
Yeah.
Now, granted, he did make that prediction before he lost his ride.
He did. That really didn't age well, did it, JP?
No. Again.
But
I mean, hey, it's not out of the realm of possibility yet. He could still find another cup ride,
it's possible.
but there are
we'll
very
see.
limited seats.
But for me, I really enjoyed being at Darlington. Got to I gotta say, I gotta give a shout out to Tyler Reddick. The grit that he showed to still run that race, knowing that he had an opportunity to win the regular season championship. And even though he was sick, he was throwing up in his helmet, he was crapping on himself, just
And
having
to
a
advance by
miserable time.
and to get it by 1 point for the regular season title.
Yes, especially in a race where Kyle Larson was just dominating. Very easily, he could have just succumbed to his sickness and been like, "I got to get out of this car."
Yeah,
But I
handed
I
off to
was definitely
MTJ.
I was definitely made a fan of Tyler Reddick on that day. But when I tell you that Kyle Busch is a warrior to the end, man, oh man, I've gone on record like I'm not a Kyle Busch fan. However, when he made that run on that final restart, past 6 people before they even got to the start finish line to complete the initial lap that went green. The roaring in the crowd, just looking at Rowdy do Rowdy type things. Oh man, that made for some excellent racing there at the end. 2 guys battling it out for a playoff spot, and just even though it ended in defeat on his part, but 2 weeks in, 2 weeks of runner ups.
3 top
That's what you
5s
want
to end off the regular season too.
Yeah, like that's what you want to see when it comes to a driver, whether it be veteran, whether it be rookie, don't what have you. You want to see them fighting for every ounce that they got every single week. And Kyle Busch left it all on the track, so I got nothing but respect for Kyle Busch and the effort that he put in the past 3 weeks.
As a Kyle Busch fan, I was extremely worried when I saw him come down pit road because I've seen our pit crew give away way too many races in the first half of the season due to pit penalties, and I was like, oh, please don't let this be another one where we get a pit penalty and we are going to restart in like 25th.
Well, I was kind of judging the call myself, but I saw him lag back on that restart, and I was like, oh no.
I thought it was the right call.
I just restarts before.
Yeah, I thought it was the right call. I just didn't trust the pit crew to actually get the stop done without an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Did you think that Kyle Busch was gonna be able to get around Briscoe?
Sorry, go ahead, JP.
I honestly thought he was going to, but Briscoe was on the defensive. He looked like he was a man on a mission too, and yeah, 2 guys on a mission there to make a playoff, and only 1 guy was going to make it, and the 14 was better at holding off the 8. I mean, the 8 was coming, but
Well, he also had dirty air to help him, which is a massive factor at a track like Darlington where there really isn't a lot of lane difference to go to try and avoid the dirty air.
Oh, yeah. I'm glad you touched on that, Ryan, because if you didn't bring it up, I was going to bring it up, but go ahead.
But yeah, Darlington is very deceiving because it looks so wide, but there's about 2.5 car widths that are really raceable. So if a driver is just running in the middle of those 2.5 lanes, they can make it extremely tough to avoid the dirty air when trying to close in on them, or specifically trying to close in for a pass which led to a lot of what we saw during those final 30 or so laps where we saw multiple crashes of drivers just trying to dive it in on the very bottom and just not being able to make it stick, or trying to stick it 3 wide up the middle, trying to find any pockets of clean air, and led to multiple crashes. In particular, I think the one I've seen the most replayed on Twitter was the Josh Berry crash, where he stuck it up the middle 3 wide and then ended up getting squeezed up into the fence by the cars on the inside line.
Yeah, but also at the same time, like Chase Briscoe's move on Kyle Larson, just taking it down 3 wide, and if Kyle Larson didn't back out of it, all 3 of them would have been taken out.
Yep. It really is a game of give and take.
It really is.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, that last stage was probably to me probably about halfway through that last stage. That's when everything got exciting.
Yeah, about
And
lap 300 onward.
yep. And I was telling some of my buddies for my first time being at Darlington, that's the kind of racing that I was expecting, and I'm glad I got that kind of racing because I didn't want it to be LOL Kyle Larson wins by a large margin kind of racing, that's how it was shaping up to be.
Yeah, and instead we got a replay of 2020, which usually isn't something people are asking for.
Yeah. How uncanny is that, Ryan? That the 2 wins that he has been holding off Kyle Busch.
Yeah, his win in the Xfinity Series at Darlington 2020, and then his win here this weekend. Both were holding off Kyle Busch, and for another unrelated statistic, both of them happened while he had a major life event going on with his family. Because if I remember correctly, I think his wife miscarried shortly before the May Darlington race when they came back from the pandemic, and they had their awesome duel.
And this year, she was expecting twins at any given point.
Yep. And just to give a shout out to another one of my guys, Michael McDowell, helping Briscoe's wife over the pit wall to go celebrate with her husband.
That's a class act right there.
Yep.
Class act. But
something the TV definitely didn't catch, but I think needed a shout out anyway.
Yep, gotta give props to where props are given. And speaking of props and things like that, it is time for our green flags and black flags. So, JP, I'll let you start. Ryan, you'll go second, and I'll finish it off.
All right.
Okay, so my green flag, is Case Briscoe. He worked his ass off.
Whoa! Let's go, JP. Using words I didn't know you had.
He worked his tail off to get that win. So congrats to the 14. And hopefully they can make a big run in the playoffs. So that's my green flag. The 14 making a playoff. My black flag has to be, what are you thinking, Martin Truex? Going into the third lap, wrecking like that? That's way too aggressive, way too early. So
in reality, he didn't have a whole lot to lose because he was in a very comfortable place on points. Obviously, we didn't know that he was going to be locked in before the end of the race until points for stages 1 and 2 were counted, but he had a significant points lead, so it was a good spot, I think, for him to at least be able to go for a somewhat dicey move, and then just auto racing happens.
yeah.
But what about you, Ryan?
So my green flag probably very similar to JP's. I'm going to give it to both the 14 and the 8 for putting on an exciting race where I don't think any of us were expecting a very exciting race for about, again, that 297 lap stretch between lap 3 and lap 300. And the fact that they were both able to put on a absolutely thrilling finish, one of the better Darlington races in the next gen. In fact, it probably is the best next gen Darlington race that I've seen. And then for my black flag, I'm trying to think of a black flag. Probably gonna have to give it to Kyle Larson because of how boring he made the middle portion of the race.
You're going to give a black flag to a man who was doing well, Ryan.
Hey, normally I give my black flag to the weather, but the weather actually held off, so
yeah, it stayed away. It did.
I didn't have that to go and throw my black flag at. Normally, I'm all for throwing my black flag at the weather.
Oh, rest assured, I have a black flag ready in hand to be waved. But,
all right. Well, let's hear it.
But my green flag actually goes not to Kyle Busch. Yes, he had a lot to do with it, but to his crew chief for making the decision to come down pit road and get those fresh tires, knowing that cautions breed cautions, and that having all the faith in the world to give Kyle Busch every chance to get that win. So kudos to the crew chief for making the decision. Kudos to the pit crew for not costing Kyle Busch any spots as they made their call. Yep. And just like you guys, just creating an outstanding ending to a race that will rival any Darlington race of the next gen cars. So I do agree on that. But my black flag, I don't know if you guys seen this, but in our web chat, but my black flag goes to Darlington Raceway as a whole.
All right.
Especially for all of those who were in attendance for the race up in turn 1. When we got to our seats, the amount of bird/goose crap that was all over the seats was ungodly.
Well, that's what happens when you have a fishing pond outside right outside the track.
Yes, but they still could have, like, you could tell that it had been sitting there. Like, they didn't have, like, cleaning crews going on, like, spraying it down with water or something like that just to get it off the seats.
Yeah.
It was nasty. Yeah, you had to get extra napkins to wipe the crap off the seats. That way you didn't have craps on your butt as you were sitting there getting ready to sit there for 3 to 4 hours of your day.
Yeah, because unfortunately the entire race wasn't the kind of racing we saw at the end where you were not using your seat at all.
Exactly. So it made for a boring race and a crappy situation, all puns intended, but it was definitely not a good look for Darlington Raceway. That is the only knock that I had on the weekend, is the cleanliness factor for the grandstands up in the turn 1, turn 2 area. If anyone's listening and they were sitting in that spot, I feel for you. I was there. It sucked. And bad on you, Darlington, for not just doing a sweep early on in the day to try to make sure that the people that paid good money to come watch your race weren't sitting in a bunch of bird crap.
Wow.
Sorry, I had that on my chest. I had to get it off my chest. But
no, it's fine. Somebody's probably listening and they'll probably reach out to you. Maybe.
Well, if they do and they want to make me feel better, they can give me a free ticket to next year's race. How about that?
You will get here, folks.
But with that being said, with Darlington now in the rear view mirror, we now have our top 16 fighting for a championship. So I will go down the list, and then once we go down the list, I want 2 drivers who you think would. Well, no, actually, we'll start with one. Who do you think will be the wild card car for the playoffs. Could be a dark horse, could be a favorite, whoever. But the playoff drivers are Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, Tyler
How
Reddick.
far does this theoretical wild card have to get through? Does it just time about a wild card to try and advance through this first round, or a wild card championship contender?
However you want to do it. How
Right.
bold do you think you're going to take it, Ryan? Sponsored by Bulletproof Coffee.
Well, let's just hope our picks are bulletproof.
But yes, Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, Tyler Reddick, William Byron, Ryan Blaney, Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott, Brad Keselowski, Joey Logano, Austin Cindric, Daniel Suarez, Alex Bowman, Chase Briscoe, Harrison Burton, Ty Gibbs, and the retiring Martin Truex Jr. So that is your 16 drivers going into the playoffs, gearing up for Atlanta. Who do you think could be the wild card driver for the playoffs? We'll start with JP.
Ooh, JP's going fishing.
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
And you know who he's going fishing for?
Who's he fishing for?
I'm worried I don't know who.
Daniel Suarez.
Daniel Suarez. Why Daniel Suarez? Why is he the wild card?
You think about it. He could win Atlanta again. Could get lucky. And then punches the ticket to the next round. And then we also have Talladega in the round of 8 or whatever. Round of 8.
No, the round of 12,
Round of
JP.
12.
Round of 12. So that could get him to the round of 8, and then I see him being done.
So
JP, do you realize just how hard it?
round of 8.
Do you realize how hard it is to win one plate race in a year, let alone winning 3 of them?
Yeah. But
in fact, you'd have to go back a long ways to find a driver who could win 3 plate races in a row, or even in just one season.
yeah.
I legitimately think you might have to go back to when Dale Sr. got 3 plate wins in a row at Daytona 500, Talladega, before and after, in order to find one.
He did say he was going fishing, Ryan.
Well, yeah, I definitely think so, but I think he missed the catch of the day, though, on that one. Because if I was to make an argument for Daniel Suarez as the dark horse, I would probably mention that he grew up doing specifically road course racing, which we have Watkins Glen and Charlotte in the picture. So if he can have okay days at the super speedways at Atlanta and Talladega, that partnered with a good finish at Watkins Glen could very well be enough to point him into the round of 12, and a good day at both Dega and Charlotte, giving him a feasible chance to advance to the round of 12. No magic win necessary.
Round of 8.
Yeah, to round of 8. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I think you made the argument for JP. That's probably what he was thinking in his head. But I like the pick of Daniel Suarez. What about you, Ryan?
So I will go on the exact same limb as that, but go for a different driver. I think Austin Cindric and that Penske team, the fact that they've got 4 drivers in the playoffs, I think that bodes well for them in terms of working together at the super speedways like Atlanta, like Talladega. And similarly, he brings massive road course racing skills to the table that can benefit at Watkins Glen and the Charlotte Roval. Now, it'll come down to luck at Talladega because, again, the lack of playoff points that both he and Suarez have. Yeah, it'll come down to that, but the Penske cars are very typically strong at the super speedways that I think that sounds like a very likely possibility that he could have a solid run.
Oh, man. What I'm hearing from Ryan is don't hinder Cinder.
Yep. Ryan. You talk about Gleiber. Give that Gleiber the Ryan curse.
Good thing is I don't really care if I curse Austin Cindric right now.
So my wild card, he's not a fringe playoff driver. my driver that I think is the ultimate wild card for this year is Christopher Bell.
All right.
Well,
he's the 2 seed, so let's hear this argument.
When it comes to averages, he has one of the best averages in the remaining tracks to make it into the Final Four. However, where I'm looking is this particular round. If he does not perform well in these next 4 races, or not
3
next
races.
4.
races. Yeah.
I would say not this round, round of 12. My bad.
Yeah, so
when it comes to Kansas, Dega, and Charlotte.
Yep.
If he does not perform well and he does not make it to the round of 8, that is going to be a big blunder on the year.
Yep.
But this is where my bold prediction comes in. If he makes it to the round of 8, he will win the championship.
All right. I could definitely see that. He kind of has that same feeling that a lot of us had about Kyle Larson. If Larson ever made it to Homestead with a shot at the title, I think we all were under the assumption that he would absolutely decimate that race when and if he got the opportunity, and ultimately they moved the championship out of Homestead before he got an opportunity.
Yep. That's the feeling that I have with Christopher Bell, and
and Phoenix.
That round of 12 is the one that scares me the most for him.
Yep, and that's been the Achilles heel of drivers for a while. I mean, yeah, just looking at other instances, I mean, that was the round that eliminated Kyle Larson back in 2017 when he was on his 4-win season there for Chip Ganassi and was looking like a real playoff contender.
For sure. And then, now that we got our wild card driver, who do you predict the Final Four heading into Phoenix is going to be? I mean, I already put my bold take on it, so I'm saying that he does make it to the round of 4. So my 4 is going to be Ryan Blaney, Christopher Bell, Kyle Larson, and Denny Hamlin. Those are my 4. What do you think, JP?
Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, and Mike Gleiber that I picked for my wild card, if he makes it through the round, Daniel Suarez and Tyler Reddick.
So you got Tyler Reddick, Kyle Larson, Daniel Suarez, and Denny Hamlin.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And who's winning the championship out of those 4?
Denny Hamlin.
Oh, Denny finally gets a championship, huh?
Yep.
Okay. That championship pick is not bad, Ryan.
Yeah. The title pick isn't bad. I was just curious, because I heard him give the argument for making it through the first 2 rounds. I didn't hear an argument for Suarez making it to the championship 4, and I didn't have one ready for that one. JP, actually, back it up. Didn't you say about 3 minutes ago that you saw Suarez getting eliminated in the round of 8 after he goes and wins at Atlanta and Talladega to advance to the round of 8? And then you said something along the lines of, that's as far as he'll go?
Yes, but as I've been sitting here kind of strategizing, I believe George can get on the tail and kick some butt.
All right.
Yeah, check himself now.
Just figured I'd double check with you because that definitely seemed like a contradiction there.
Yep, it was. But I'm doing the podcast from my living room, and as I'm sitting in the living room, this is going to be the championship chair.
The championship chair. Okay. I like that. Who's
All
your Final
right.
Four, Ryan, and who's going to be the ultimate victor of the NASCAR Cup Series championship?
All right. Well, you wanted bold predictions. How about I go with one right now? Kyle Larson
Uh-oh, let's
doesn't make
go.
the championship four.
Larson does not make the championship four.
My prediction, Larson ends up in a similar situation to that 2017 season where he gets collected in a misfortune at Talladega, which puts him behind the 8 ball for points in that middle round.
Round of
Between
8 or
that
round of...
round of 12 with
Ooh.
Talladega there because
You're
of
saying Kyle Larson does not make it out of the round of 12.
I think between misfortunes at Kansas, which he has not been immune from before in the past, and a very likely incident at Talladega, which is a track he has not been great at, could put him really behind the 8 ball. And I see a different Hendrick driver surging in the playoffs, which will bring to my first championship four pick. I think William Byron will make the championship four. The last 2 seasons have kind of felt like Williams' season. Last year, late in the playoffs, wasn't able to get the job done. But I think, again, it feels like this last about 24 months have kind of been his time. Daytona 500 winner, I think there's a chance he was racing at Phoenix for the title. I'll also go ahead with your pick. I think Christopher Bell makes it to the championship four there.
So Byron and Bell.
Yeah, I think those two will make for a very entertaining race down the stretch. They're both very good drivers at Phoenix. We've seen them both win at Phoenix in recent years. For my third pick, I am going to go ahead and send Tyler Reddick to the championship four as well.
I'm liking this Final Four.
Yeah, and for my fourth and final pick, as much as I don't want to, I am going to go ahead and say Joey Logano gets that fourth and final spot.
Joey Logano. So where does Denny Hamlin fall out of the mix?
I think he comes
Where does
home
Ryan
fifth.
Blaney fall out?
I think those two are both going to be fighting for points in the round of 12 or in the round of 8. I mean, and going to come up basically 5th and 6th in the final standings. I'd probably say Denny Hamlin 5th and Blaney 6th would be a prediction, but it could very easily be a matter of 2-3 points between them.
Ooh, I love that Final Four right there. Now,
But I think
obviously,
that
like Chase
a
Elliott
Byron
not
versus
beating him, he hurt a little bit, but
yeah,
we're talking about the caliber of drivers that you just put in your Final Four. Oh man,
well,
oh man.
and look at the fact that Hendrick seems to rotate through which driver they're backing with 100% effort for the title. Between Elliott during his title season, he got all the support while the other teammates kind of sat there. Then Larson, obviously, in his title season, and for the following season, had basically 2 years of complete dominance while the rest of the team was just kind of sitting there. These last 2 years have kind of felt like it's Byron's time to go and win a championship. Now, I don't know if he gets it at the end of the day. I would probably say I think Christopher Bell still wins it, but I think a Byron versus Bell fight all the way through, is going to be the entertainment value there at Phoenix, and I think it actually makes a decent case for why Phoenix might return as the championship venue, no matter how much the fans don't like that. And
Yeah.
I'm included in that. I think Homestead is a better championship venue with the next-gen cars, but I think Byron and Bell are going to make Phoenix a pretty strong case. Also,
to
one
go
more
along
reason
with,
why I think Denny Hamlin may miss the playoffs is I think the fact that they are still not decided on the charter deal. I think he is going to be busy as a team owner in those conversations, which is going to hurt his ability to practice and focus solely on the race.
yeah, I mean, I can see that. But speaking of the charter and the team that you're referring to, Tyler Reddick getting Jordan a chance to potentially snag a NASCAR championship and just add to already his illustrious uh, career in all of sports would just rocket up Michael Jordan in the list of athletes that are just in general successful in almost anything that they do.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So
But
that would be
yeah, so
that'd be massive.
yeah, and I think there's a good chance, like, going back to my fourth championship pick there, the more out there one. Logano's shown the ability to just pop off wins at Vegas out of absolutely nowhere, and Vegas being in that round of 12 or round of 8, I mean, to lock himself in. If he wins that race, the rest of the round doesn't really matter. Also, the last time we were at Martinsville in the fall, it was a Penske driver in Ryan Blaney that was winning the race and able to punch his ticket to victory lane. So I think Logano's got a decent case for being able to be just as good as any of those other names in that round of 8.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, Joey Logano was definitely a guy that we definitely poked a lot of fun at the beginning of the season, but
well,
he's
I mean, I think
definitely
we poked fun at Ford because they couldn't win a race in any of the series.
yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. But the dark horses have arrived, and they've definitely put together a strong mid to ending of the season. And it would not surprise me to see. I was more thinking Ryan Blaney being the one of the Fords to make it there, but uh,
Yeah,
I'm on board with it possibly in Logano.
well, and part of me just didn't want to pick 4 names right in a row because Bell through Blaney is second through fifth on the seeding as well, and I didn't. It doesn't feel quite right to see just like to pick just 1 through 4 or even 2 through 5 as your 4 championship contenders. So I was
Right,
like, I
right.
don't. It doesn't feel quite right to pick just right in order like that. And if I had, and I think the Penske's have the best shot. So which other Penske do I think can get there? It certainly won't be Cindric.
That is
Now
true. That
watch
is
me
true.
say that. Now Cindric's going to be your champion. But
But now
I guess there I might have undid the curse
you
Yeah.
for
might
calling
have.
him my dark horse.
But all eyes turn to Atlanta. Atlanta being the start of the NASCAR playoffs. And who do you think? Who do you think out of the 16? Who has the most pressure to perform well at Atlanta, Ryan?
Um. So of the 16 drivers in the playoffs, I would have to say, and I think you'd be hard pressed to find anyone else. I think Harrison Burton, if he wants any shot to advance, will need a good Atlanta run. And even that, I don't know if it would be good enough considering his average finish at tracks like Watkins Glen or the road courses on the season. And what even is the third? Bristol for the third and final race. He wasn't great there in the spring either. So I think for Harrison Burton to have any hope of advancing, he will need a good run at Atlanta.
Yeah.
Okay.
Welcome, Tyler. Welcome. We're coming up towards the end here. We're talking about Atlanta and which of the 16 playoff drivers has the most pressure to perform well going into the inaugural start of the playoffs.
The one that has the most pressure?
Yes.
Ooh, honestly, I'm gonna have to say Martin Truex Jr.
Martin Truex Jr., the retiring veteran.
I feel like that guy's got the least amount of pressure.
That's why I say he needs a lot of pressure because he wants to go out with a bang. Honestly, he doesn't want to be eliminated first round. He wants to go out and win the championship in his final year.
Yeah, I
So he
think he
has the
wants to do that, but I think at the end of the day, he'll be sitting on. Yeah, he'll be sitting at the beach waiting for the NASCAR Cup Series in Daytona when it comes back around in February with his sandals on.
I also think Chase Briscoe has a lot of pressure too.
Yeah, I can see that.
The reason I say Chase Briscoe is says, well, one, the 14's not going to be around next year. Haas is down to one car next year, and maybe
Have they announced the number for that? Have
41.
they announced the
41.
number? It is going to be the 41? Okay.
Yeah. So with Chase Briscoe being in the playoffs, it also shows Gibbs the fact that he's a playoff caliber driver, and it actually gives him pressure for the top tier team he's going to next season to perform in playoffs.
Yeah.
And Harrison Burton.
Right.
I also want to say one more Harrison Burton too, if you guys have mentioned him.
Yep.
Well, I was going to say, JP, who's your pick?
Unfortunately, I think, yeah, Alex Bowman has the most pressure.
You
All
took my
right.
pick. You took my pick.
I respect that.
I'm curious to hear the reasoning here.
So the reason is, I believe he will get the chopping block if he does not make around 8.
He's already got a contract through 2026.
After
He
that,
already
right?
shut those.
After
He
that.
already shut down the rumors.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I can help JP out on this because that was going to be my pick. The reason why I say Alex Bowman has the most pressure, one, he carries the Hendrick name. But two, dating back to the last 4 races, so the last month of races for Alex Bowman, he has not performed well. So
Yeah.
he doesn't have as good of a cushion as an Elliott or a Byron or a Larson.
Yep.
When you're looking back between all 4 races, if you average his average finish, he's averaging a 22nd place finish if you added the past 4 together. Talking 27th, 24th, 19th, 18th.
Yep.
Just not normal for the 48 team.
Right.
And when you're having a month of just average to not so good races, that wears on a driver, especially heading into the playoffs. And a team caliber of Hendrick and a driver of Alex Bowman, they need a solid finish in Atlanta to reset that mindset and have a good playoff run. If they have another average to below average finish, I'll say he doesn't make it into the round of 12.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely could see him missing out on the round of 12.
I think Atlanta is his best shot for him to win and get into the next round.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's his best shot, which is just adds to the pressure, like of the upcoming tracks. Like, when's the next opportunity that you think Alex Bowman would actually be able to either win or have a top 5 and have a chance to win?
And that's the hard part because a lot of his wins have kind of come out of completely nowhere with very few laps led in his wins.
Honestly, the funny part is all his good tracks are in the round of
yeah, I mean, Vegas, Martinsville, Homestead would be a great 3 tracks for him, but unfortunately, the path to get there is very rough.
And if he doesn't get it done in Atlanta and he has a very poor finish, he's not gonna do well at Watkins Glen. He has an average finish of 25th at Watkins Glen.
Yeah.
Bristol, he could have an above average day, probably top 15, top 10. But
Question is, would that be
He
good
was up
enough?
front in the spring. He was up front in the spring for a majority of the
but
day. So
for spring to fall, there's a major difference between spring and fall.
Yep.
But the next track that he actually has a shot at winning would be Talladega.
Mm-hmm.
You
no,
don't think he could win Kansas?
He's good. He's good at Kansas. He's good at the mile and a half.
I mean, I tend to remember a second place finish there at Kansas, setting him up back in 2018 to collect one of the rare achievements in the sport.
But that was pre next gen car.
20,
Yeah, it was definitely
no,
pre next gen car, but
2021 was actually the one, actually, Ryan. But yes, I know what you mean.
I don't
Or was
know
it?
if you and I are thinking of the same stat there, Tyler, but
Nope, we're not. I know what you're talking about. My bad.
yeah.
But yeah, he's good at Kansas. He's good at Las Vegas. Very good at Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's
The
round of
problem,
8. That's not anywhere soon.
Yeah.
but I don't honestly. The only way I see Bowman making it is either winning or helping for bad luck from Gibbs.
Now, I will
Briscoe.
say in the first
I
round, I
think
can actually make an argument for Bowman advancing.
Okay, I see him making around 8. Okay, now looking at it, now I see him making around 8, but I don't see Chase Briscoe making it. I'm
Well,
sorry.
I can see him making it to the round of 12. The problem is going to be trying to find a way for him to advance out of the round of 12. Because, I mean, yeah, that group of, the round of 12 is going to be a tough one.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
looking
for
at
sure.
this.
But like I said, based off of average finish of the past month, it's absolutely crucial that he has a good day. And if he continues to have bad finishes, it just increases the chance of him getting aggressive and making a poor decision and ultimately becoming a Bubba Wallace of just
You have to watch
getting
out.
caught in the back and getting stuck in someone else's mess.
The
Yep.
two drivers I definitely think he has to watch out for is Daniel Suarez at Atlanta because he the one Suarez is a rating winner at Atlanta. 2, yeah, he's. I don't think Cindric or Briscoe is gonna. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, let's continue. So let's let that.
Yeah, I think Briscoe has some good momentum going into the round of 16. So I think,
Despite being shut down, I'm surprised how quick he actually is.
yeah, for sure. But
Right.
that'll go
Let's talk about
into
final top.
our picks, Ryan. So do you have a spinning wheel made up?
Yep, give me like 2 seconds to go ahead and fill it in with the names now that we've actually know who all's going to be here.
Are you guys going to be doing the playoff grid challenge or no?
I've got a video coming out talking about the playoff grid tomorrow on my channel. So,
Well, if you want, you can elaborate a little bit on it, Ryan.
It's a NASCAR challenge on NASCAR app where you have to make a perfect grid challenge, just like the NCAA perfect bracket
yeah, where you
challenge.
basically say which drivers are going to get eliminated in which round, which we've already kind of talked about a lot.
So how about this? We can pass it along to Greg. But of the ones who are mainly on the podcast, how about we make our grid and we take a screenshot and post it in the chat, and we'll talk about it next week when we have Greg on and just kind of go over everyone's picks for the playoffs.
Yeah.
All right. So I've got our 4 names on the spinner, and we are going to go ahead and spin this one.
Who's up first, Ryan?
It is going to be Jayme with the first overall pick.
Let's go. Of course, I get the first pick on a track where anything can happen at any given point with the new structuring. But I'm going to go Ryan Blaney. I think Ryan Blaney makes a case to clinch his way into the next round this race.
All right. And we're going to go ahead and spin this again. Who's going to be the second pick? It's going to be me. I've got the second pick. Let's go.
You did say top 2 picks.
Yeah, well, originally that was when I thought it was just going to be you and me. But, all right. So who did you say you picked?
I took Ryan Blaney.
All right, you took Ryan Blaney. Trying to think. Let's see. You know what? I'll take a Brad Keselowski. I think he avenges his loss here to Joey Logano in the spring a couple years ago.
Ooh. Who's up next?
All right. And Tyler.
I'm going to go with the defending winner of this exact race, and I'm going William Byron.
All right.
I like that pick. Yeah, that's who I was debating between Byron and Blaney, and ultimately I ended up just going Ryan Blaney because I had to go with the 4.
All right. And I've spun it, and it's going to be JP.
Okay.
Officially official.
So, officially
Somebody got
official.
Allison.
And I'm going to go fishing. And I'm going to end up the line this time. It is time for the 54 of Ty Gibbs to get his first career win and walk himself into the round of 12.
What a time for
All right. So once again,
for
we're
a
going. How many different drivers do you have winning this race, JP? You had Suarez a few minutes ago. Now you got Ty Gibbs.
Well, go to better.
I got
Yeah.
told I was smoking. Go check out Ice Up My Grid and tell me if I'm smoking crack or not.
But that'll do it.
Right. Well,
For us here at the lap
that
down.
is going to be race picks.
Yep. That'll do it for us here at the lap down. Thank you to the Acolyte Project and to all of our sponsors. I don't have them listed in front of me. Thank you very much for supporting the lap down. I am Jayme. This was Ryan and JP. Until deuces.
This is.